Hello guys, welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. There is a message that I want to share with you guys, and this message, it comes from a translation of a message that I received. The translation reads like this. Hello brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my story as hidden identity? Currently I am staying in South Africa where I am working as well, but I come from Zim. In South Africa, I am working as a stay-in maid. Usually what I do is that whenever you put up a new episode, I download it so that by the time that I'll be doing my work, I can keep myself busy by listening to all of these stories. All that I want to say, Brother Nash, is that a lot of things do happen, and if you have never come across these spiritual things, you will think that most of these stories are not true at all. But if you have ever been in such a situation, you'll understand is what is going on. I got married to my husband. When I got married to my husband, I was pretty young. It was because of poverty. Poverty was the reason why I had to get married at such a young age. But after I had gotten married to my husband, I then noticed that I could not fall pregnant, and some of my friends that got married after I had already been married to my husband, they all had their kids. Right now, Brother Nashi, I am a woman who is aged 48 years old. Even though I still have a little bit of hope that one day God is going to give me a child of my own. But when I look at my age, I think that maybe it is a little bit too late for me, but I still have hope. When I got married to my husband, I was only 16 years old. I could not even finish up my high school because I was now staying with him. What happened was that there was one day when I was coming from the river to fetch drinking water. Then one of my brothers found me standing by the side of the road with my late husband. That was when my brother started beating me up, and he also started beating that guy that I was standing with, the same man whom I later got married to. So then my brother went and he told my parents. When I arrived at home, they then chased me out of the house, even though I had tried to tell them that I had never slept with that guy that I was dating, but they said that they could not prove it. So they then called my auntie, who then went with me to that man's house that I was dating. This man that I was dating, Brother Nashi, he was a little bit older than I was, and he had another wife. So the moment that I arrived at their homestead, I saw that everyone was treating me in such a bad way, and everyone from my husband's family side, they knew the kind of poverty that was in my family. So each and every day, it was like an insult. Whenever it would be time for us to eat, the moment that I would start eating, some people would even point their fingers at me, like the way that I used to eat. They would say that I eat so much because I grew up in an environment whereby there was poverty everywhere. Yes, and I want to admit that the reason why my parents ended up chasing me away, it was because they knew that once I had gotten married to this man, then the man was going to take care of them. But I stayed from 16 years until I was 20 years old. For those 4 years that I stayed with my husband, there were a lot of insults that were always thrown at me. Sometimes my mother-in-law would say that I was a witch, and I was that kind of a witch who kept on eating my babies, because she said that her own son was a man who could give birth, and he had proved himself that he was able to make a woman fall pregnant. But why is it that when he got married to me, he had failed to make me pregnant? And to make matters worse, when I entered into this family, Brother Nashi, I don't know what happened. Maybe God had decided to punish me, because even my own husband one day, he said that he had been trying to have another child with his first wife, but they had failed. Before he had gotten married to me, they had already 2 kids, but when I started staying with him, then he failed to have a baby with his first wife. So this brought a lot of insults on me and upon my family's name, because they said that I was a witch that kept on eating up her own babies. That was why I was not able to conceive. I stayed like this in such a painful and a toxic environment, but I didn't know where else to go, because this man, when I had met him, I was still in high school, and even if I wanted to walk away, what was I going to do? Because my parents, they were really poor, and we didn't have anyone that was willing to assist us. So I stayed with my husband until I was at the age of 27. That was when I decided to run away from my husband. This was after I had seen some stuff, Brother Nashi, that are quite hard to explain. As I was going around visiting different churches, I grew up in the Seventh-day Adventist church, so I kept on visiting a lot of pastors. There was this other pastor who said that we had to pray, but after I had prayed, there were a lot of dreams that kept on coming to me. So I then thought that these dreams, since there is no one who is able to interpret these dreams for me, let me go to those white garment churches. And this was against the rule of our church, but I did it anyway because I was in need of a child. The way that my in-laws used to insult me, it was really painful. So in secret, I started going around visiting a lot of white garments prophets until some of the people that we used to go to church to found out, and after they had found out, I was then confronted. That was when I walked out of the church and I started going to the white garment church. When my mother-in-law knew that I had been going to those white garment church, Brother Nashi, I didn't even expect that my mother-in-law will end up beating me. One day when I was coming from church, she then spoke with me. I don't know, maybe I responded to her in a very wrong way, because she said that there is no water. The moment that I told my mother-in-law that I had walked such a long way coming from church and my feet were tired, I just wanted to rest for a couple of minutes. Then after eating, I will then go to the river to fetch the drinking water. She rose up from where she was sitting. Then she came and she started beating me. On that night, I then walked away and I went and I started staying with this other woman, but I was not yet separated from my husband. As I was staying with that woman, she was also a prophet in the White Garments Church. As we were sleeping, she woke up and she was shouting. She then said that as we were sleeping, she saw that there was a snake, a very huge snake that was coming out of my private parts. So this thing had scared her, because after she had seen the snake coming out of my private parts, the snake then transformed itself. Then it became my father-in-law. This dream, my brother, it really shocked me. But deep down, I was not shocked that much, because I knew that there was something wrong about my father-in-law. From the very first day that I started staying with my husband at their family compound, I had a weird dream. My father-in-law came into that room where me and my husband were sleeping. Then he started undressing me, and he said that this was a way of him welcoming me into the family. And he said that if you do not want to have intercourse with me, then it means that the ancestors, your husband ancestors, they won't be able to give you a child, so you have to sleep with me. I started crying in my dreams as he was having intercourse with me. After he had finished having intercourse with me, I saw him pulling something out of my stomach, and when he had finished pulling that thing from my stomach, I heard that there was a voice. This voice, Brother Nashi, I don't know from where exactly it came from, but the voice just spoke through the walls as if there was something that was hidden inside the walls of the house. The voice said, "It is good. I can see that your womb is good. Your womb has never carried a baby before." So I started screaming so much that my husband woke me up, and I was afraid to tell my husband the kind of a dream that I had, because this was like the first day ever sleeping at their family's house. So I didn't want to sound as if I was saying that his father was a witch, so I remained quiet. But that dream, it kept on coming back to me. But whenever my father-in-law would visit me in my dreams, sometimes he would come wearing a different face. But after having sexual intercourse with me, that was when I would see that the man that I was sleeping with, it was not my husband or any other man that he had proposed love to me that I thought maybe was the one that was making love to me, but it was my father-in-law.